Nun zum FNCS-Finale. Es ist soweit. Es geht los. FNCS-Finale. Zwar ist es sehr kurz gewesen. Das Spiel ging so 3 Wochen lang. Was mich jetzt erst richtig so ärgert. Aber Leute, es ist endlich ein fucking Finale. Und natürlich nicht zu vergessen, liken, teilen, abonnieren. Das wäre mega geil. Ich schaue auch gerade währenddessen nochmal kurz bei einem anderen Twitch-Streamer vorbei. Spoilert. Da hinten spielen sie. Da hinten sie. Ich meine dann holy shit, FNCS. Fortnite Champion Series. Fernsehlautstärke auf 40. Ich meine dann holy shit. The Grand FNCS Final. Nur noch 3 Minuten, Leute. Ladies and Gentlemen. Seid ihr bereit? Das sind die Grand Finals aus Asien. Noch 2 Minuten. Mein Gott, es ist so fucking aufregend. Weil es sind Champions. Effing Champions. Und bei mir auf meinem Handy-Stream ist alles in Ordnung. FNCS, es geht los, das Grand Final. Ist Fernsehlautstärke bei mir 50. Heute bin ich knallhart bei mir auf meinen Kopfhörern. Achtzehn, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. FNCS Europa.
What is going on for Fortnite Champion Series? After the heats yesterday, we find ourselves here at the summit, the Fortnite Champions Grand Finals. After today, one player in every region will be able to hold the axe of champions high. The hype is here. We are excited, and we cannot wait to get into things. If you're joining us at Party Royale, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having us. We're here to have a good time, watch some cool Fortnite action, and of course, don't forget to use your favorite emotes. Throw the grenades around, purple, orange, whatever your favorite color is. We'll have a great time. With that being said, I'm your host. Joining us on the channel, we got Shy Wait, we got Bala TW. Guys, I mean, the hype is so real right now.
I mean, I'm between hyped, excited, and every other amazing, awesome word because we've been watching along with these guys playing the FNCS solos for so many weeks, and right now, this weekend, today...
So many weeks? Es waren nur 2 Wochen!
Couldn't be more excited because grand finals for FNCS always means that we get some very, very exciting competitive Fortnite action, and we're going to bring the energy, we're going to bring the fire, and I know these players are too.
Oh man, of course, we are going to get into the show, but first, very quickly, do not forget, we are tuning into all things EU. We are going to take a break, and then later on, we'll be back to wrap up NA East on the day. With that being said, let's take a look at the format itself. Yesterday, we saw the heats break down 100 players, but only the top 25 advanced, and now they find themselves here in the Grand
Okay, es wird ein volles Turnier sein, also volle 100.
Yes, heats, these were happening yesterday. Now it's the 100 best players, all the way from the thousands, hundreds of thousands played, 6 final matches, 1 FNCS champion per region, and this is the format that breaks everything down.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar, you get placement, or you get points for placement, you get
Das
points
Turnier
for
wurde auf
elimination.
Platzierung
14
ausgebaut.
points
Ach du
for
Scheiße.
placing highest, for achieving that victory royale, and that will matter so much over all of everything. But you've got to find the balance. You've got to find some eliminations because that is kind of some guaranteed points every time you pick one up. And the placements, well, you gotta see how it is. It's very difficult to actually accrue these in a competitive game.
That's right, man. 100 of the very best will clash and battle it out. Now, of course, what's on the line here? The Axe of Champions will be that trophy that they can take into game and let the others in the lobby recognize them as a champion, but also take a look at your prizing breakdown.
Also alle bekommen garantiert 150.500 US-Dollar.
Which is awesome to see. And I mean, even if they were to place, say, last, you still have to recognize these are 100 of the best players in EU. Make sure to recognize them for their skill. Here is an overall breakdown of
Alter, vor allem in Ozeanien, Nahosten und Asien sind nur alles nur 100.000. Und bei Europa.
Real quick, guys, I gotta talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's Batman. Genius comes in many forms. Whether you're dangerously funny, creating havoc with wild plants, or flooding the island with your best intentions, often comes along with a companion, madness. Become everyone's nemesis with the Last Laugh bundle featuring the Joker, Poison Ivy, Midas Rex, matching cosmetics, and 1,000 V-Bucks. You can pre-order the bundle through your favorite retailers, and it will be available on November 17th. So definitely check out the blog for all the details. And
17. November, okay.
More DC characters, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and my personal favorite Batman will be back in the item shop for a limited time. Get their cosmetic sets before they disappear into the night. And of course, let's stop.
Ja, Hauptsache noch Schleichwerbung.
We will not be seeing vehicles in the competitive playlist. Just keep that in mind as we are watching. Now, guys, I did kind of touch on it just a moment ago. We do have those other regions that are facing off. We should probably check with OCE, see how things are going.
Yeah, I think we should for sure, because the competition over there was a preview of everybody else. These guys got the first taste of the Grand Finals action, and if you watched last night, it was certainly nice. We got to award our first axe of champions.
Yep, the axe is given out all the way towards the winner. This man's going to be
Okay, jetzt ist mir leicht schwindelig.
towards the entire next season. It's going to be awesome to see. The winner of OCE overall was, of course, Jinx, RNG, Jinxie Fishy, and total points of 75.
Jinxie Fishy, Ozeanien-Gewinner. Kein Sieg, 24 Kills, durchschnittliche Platzierung 8. Ach, boah, einiges ist krass. Mit 6 Punkten Vorsprung. 10.000 gewonnen.
And something else to note about Jinx, this is a man of stature, somebody who has won the previous FNCS, so he was already holding on to that axe of champion. He gets to maintain going into this season.
Winners stay winning because this ball from second place all the way down to 10th. Very familiar names. Reefballs, Asfit, Rax, Worthy all the way up to second. Zore, Leia, Moose, Link at 7th, and then Fresh at 6th. Who's been playing so phenomenally over during the day. Had some help as well from chat, as well as Arab coaching him throughout the entire process. Past that too.
Ich weiß, dass Katzen Schwänze haben, aber
it is the same names you keep seeing, but look how close
das ist kein Schwanz, das ist ein Stelldock-Match.
40 points down to 36. Mountain holding 11th, RBK, I don't know, which is Volks holding down all the way to the 20th slot.
Such a close competition, and this is going to be a nice identifier here as we get ready for EU. I mean, watch these point thresholds. Look at how close that is. We will more than likely see this in EU unless someone decides to break away. With that being said, though, Asia also has a champion. Graham, #1, holding down that #1 spot, 47 points. No victorials. Of 25th, that in itself is a statement to be made.
Nicht viel
Now he will hold
für Asien.
high.
But it was so close, Zeke. Look at the eliminations, 11 for him over 6 games. That is slightly under 2 elims. And you know what? It counts. Everything matters. Tiebreakers certainly do in this game. 3 people tied for points at first place. That is ridiculous. Unheard of. Haruhiko coming in second in Peter Pan. Unfortunately, these guys tiebreaker of elimination.
Und Peter Pan war in dem World Cup.
Still, another
Graham #1, ich habe von dem auch noch nie was gehört.
4 ways through. Third all the way down to 7th place. That is insane to see. Still, that story continues on the second page. Asia was so close, so competitive. And as you mentioned, Bala, every elimination did indeed matter. Once again, Rizart down to Riru from 11th. You go all the way down to 18th to 20th. Wildhawk, Bob, these guys are individual performance. Every game that stood out. So remember, every single game we watched today, every single play matters the most.
That's right, man. And this is something we're going to talk about for the whole time, right? Is every interaction matters. Every time 2 people square up, one of them will be eliminated, while the other is allowed to continue moving and continue earning those points, while the other that lost has to wait. They have to reset and come back into the game with a fresh mindset and hope to earn.
Ja, da haben sie beim letzten FNCS gelabert.
And these guys have been doing it all weekend long since Friday. They've been playing in these set lobbies, these very difficult games, and For some of them, they're done. They've already played it through, but for others, regions that we're looking forward to, EU up next. And these guys have such a competitive field. Look at the first list of qualified players, and that is just 1/5.
Okay, welche kenne ich nicht?
So many different hurdles. We had 4 heats
Jeder
in total.
kenne ich.
Top 25s qualifying from each and every one.
Mein
Down to the
Favorit.
final 100 players. These guys are at the top of their game, and they're going to be playing against other people who are used to winning. On this page alone, I'm looking at Scouts, Keziks, Seven Tour, Mongrel, big, insane, legendary names looking to get another title.
Okay, zweite Reihe.
Reason was on that page too, the player who won Heat 4 against people like Letwick. Flowis came out of Heat 1 with a dominant performance. We're going to be looking at him to see if he can maintain.
Mongrel hat beim letzten FCS nicht teilgenommen.
Had the first start in Heat 2 with the back-to-back victory royales, and we've talked about the format, how much that matters.
Giannis
was almost insurmountable.
Invitational Gewinner.
2 games.
And whether you're watching in-game and Party Royale or anywhere online, just pick a name over here, follow it through, find a new favorite player, and follow your favorite ones too, like Letchi, like Fasroki, XWeez2, who's an insane winner, winning back-to-back games through all stages of the competition. These guys are about to play some of the hardest games of their lives and are going to give us some of the best Fortnite we have ever watched.
Okay.
And yesterday was literally like a little taste of that, right?
Sehr
We've seen pockets of
Benji
people
Virgie.
already setting their eyes on grand finals. Today will bring some of the best Fortnite we've ever seen. I mean, there's no way of knowing. Will someone break away and hold off strong? Will people go head-to-head and kind of pull each other back? And at the very end, someone will cross the finish line. No way of knowing, guys. This will all unfold before our very eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Zeke usually asks me the question, who do you think is going to win? I'm going to answer before you get to ask any one of these 100 players because they all deserve it, 100%.
Oh, hi, herzlich willkommen. Stream, was geht?
I'm serious. It's anyone's game. Every single person on all those pages for Europe are so good.
And I want to add one thing to that too, because it might be anybody's game, but also think about the fact that one player after all of this out of 100 is going to be walking away the winner, the champion. That is just mind-blowing to me.
Yesterday we got to see the top 25 move on, and we thought about which 75 would fall. Now it's the 99 that will not make the cut. With that being said, though, let's take a look at a replay that has led us to this point.
Yeah, if you haven't joined us on the broadcast just yet, there was 4 heats to play through. Each of those had 100 players. Top 25 moved on from every single one of them. We're watching the winner of heat number 1, and we're highlighting him because he won in a surprising fashion, coming out from behind and dueling a lot of other top players. Did it with style, winning a game with something like 5 eliminations and then taking the lead from there and being consistent all the way through. That's why Advise is certainly somebody to pay attention to.
Yeah, the name to remember is Wave Advise, especially anyone having Wave in front of their names. But just look at the way he broke down every game. It wasn't something under control for him at all times. It was always trying to win every single time.
And he was dueling against players like Clement, who are going to be here today. But moving on into Heat 2, if you missed that one, this was electric. This was fantastic. We already talked about Tayson's back-to-back. But he did it again with style too. That's why we have to keep an eye on him going into this. And there's some interesting things about him. We saw a sneak peek about that landing spot, and that's where our previous FNCS Invitational Solos champion came from. His duo partner, Janice.
Janice is playing today too, so these guys will have to face off against each other at the same drop spot in the same end games, and it's unpredictable as to what will actually end up breaking down.
There's another player too in that heat. It was Kinzel. They ended up dueling. Also somebody who came out of Steamy Stack. So we'll have to keep that in mind. But moving into Heat 3, this is something that caught a lot of people by surprise. Why? Because XWeez, while he has been pretty consistent over all his placements in FNCS and other tournaments like that, nobody expected what he did throughout the qualifiers. Nobody expected a second place on day 3, into a first place on day 4, into a first place in the Heat yesterday.
The most surprising performance by far.
Hat ein paar Mal teilgenommen. So viele Chancen.
XWeez always puts himself into positions where he can show his flair, show his aim, and give us a good insight to what shots he likes to take. All these shots always culminate to a win. Just look how fast he is past edits, landing the bullets that he needs to land to be able to get eliminations and then win games close range 4 people back to back, and he did this in multiple games.
And that's not all. While X-Sweeties might have dominated his heats, there's still one more. To find the last 25 players, we had to go through one of the most difficult ones overall. There was players like Mongrel in the next heat. There was players like Rewi. Those two have been going back-to-back against each other for quite some time, starting from the day 1 3 weeks ago. But Reason showed up again, and even though they dueled and took first and second in this heat, Reason seemed to come out far and ahead, the champion of that heat, and for one reason, I think, no pun intended, the Holly Hedges uncontested drop.
Yeah, with no one fighting you down early game, you have a huge advantage on playing the rest of the game out, going for positions, going for wins. That being said, though, Reason and Mongrel are going to be able to battle it out once again here today in these grand finals, and it's the final round for these guys to wrap up their story.
And the important thing to note from Reason, he did win back-to-back in heat number 4 yesterday against players like Letwick, who had even Kit Shockwave Launcher to try to put him down. He does not care and will go for the biggest streak of 2 back-to-back games in terms of eliminations and wins. So that total amount of points, ridiculous from Reason. We'll have to see if he's in form today.
That's the biggest question across the board, right? Who is in form? A lot of these players, they already know the field. They've already scouted each other out, and just like we've done our research, they have too. Now the question is, who is strong and who will walk away as champion? With that being said, guys, it is time to get into the first game of the day here in EU. So let's get ready to toss it over to our casters. We've got Clay, Staling, and Sundown to take us through all the action. Gentlemen, for you.
Jahre hier schneiden.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jonesies, Bonesies, he's, she's, theys, and thems, welcome to the first game of the FNCS Grand Finals in EU. And I hope you got your popcorn ready, whether it's literally or the emote in Party Royale, because this game is about to be a blast.
I am ready to see all the action unfold. I hope everybody's got their favorite emote, whether they're with their glow sticks out raving. I'm ready. I know you're ready, Sundown. It's going to be amazing.
Enough from us. Let's take us into game number 1. The shout outs to Zeke, Bala, and Sowager. But now we're into match number 1. This is it. 6 games to decide who will walk away with that Axe of Champions. Who will be the top player in arguably the most competitive region in Fortnite. It does have the most.
Es geht los.
And there's
FNCS Finale EU Runde 1.
The initial drop spot.
And it looks like everyone's sticking true to where they planned on dropping. We have 3 players in Steamy. We got, I think, only 1 or 2 players there in Patty Corner, 4 in Lazy Lake that we've seen time and time and again from Europe. And of course, we've got Rezon and Holly Hedges, and it seems like he may be alone.
But I
one of the best comments I think I saw coming out is, wow, everyone is really scared of Rezon. And if you look at some of those early game drop spots, both in heats and I'm assuming now in the grand finals, everyone stays really far away from him, and you can see that in the bottom right hand corner on the map. Not a single triangle remotely close to him representing another player. That's because he's done such a good job over the course of the entirety of this tournament.
Legendary Owl.
And then also getting a nice little elite chest right there, granting him the legendary burst AR, and he's set to go now. He can begin his rotation and head to center zone. He has those 6 crash pads, which we've seen him execute on so well, and he's basically set to now just farm the materials he needs and transition into the mid game. However, we've seen him go aggressive time and time again with this similar loadout, as now we swing on over.
And you saw how careful he was being. He wasn't taking a chance looting that chest. He didn't want anything to go wrong in game number 1, because that sets the pace of your games going forward. Whether you get out to a head start or whether you get to climb your way back from an unfortunate off-spawn elimination. However, Hid, on the other side of it, does have players nearby. Loadout not as great as what we just saw on Rezon, but someone that also did very well in the qualifiers. Came out, I believe, got a 2nd place there in one of the days. He's got that cyber rival territory, and he's looking. He's peppered up. He's looking for an elimination. I think he's going to be able to catch this play off guard. Snipe's going to come through. He's going to wait, and he does. Ardent's going to go down. Elimination comes over for him.
Brilliantly done there by hand to set up that ambush on the side. We've talked about it time and time again, how you need to be
GG,
careful.
das ist wirklich GG an ihm.
It's so hard to really know where your opponents are, keeping track of them. If somebody does get that first shot down and you're not able to react, it can be game ending. And going out there in 96 is so hard, a 0-point game, and now you have to sit back and watch everyone else have fun while you're sitting there waiting for the next game. So now we hop on board and Candy, who's going to be in the exact same situation as Milan. Turns out someone who's really been playing a lot better as of late, Clay.
He has indeed. And I believe we have 2 Milans here in this grand final. So got a Lost Milan and Normal Milan, but both of them have been playing very, very well and have consistently been making it in that top 25. It seems like almost every single qualifier. So it's really good to see consistency being rewarded, especially with the way the format is. The format rewards those high-placing, high-consistent games. So if you're able to get to top 15, top 25, top 10 every single game, you're going to start to make your way to the top of the leaderboard.
And that's what the goal is for the end. We talked about so much yesterday how it's, hey, top 25 is all that matters. Well, here, everyone wants to be number 1.
Wenn ihr persönlich ein paar Favoriten habt, schreibt es mir mal in den Chat, falls ihr noch da seid.
You want the grand prize in the Axe of Champions and all the clout that comes with saying, hey, I'm the best player in my region after the weeks of qualifiers and then coming down to this. And Mr. X, who had a beautiful run yesterday, and get him here. The miracle back-to-back-to-back eliminations. But now, under pressure from Rifle, going to get in directly on top of him, but sticking straight to the AR spray. He didn't have a shotgun. That's what we talk about. Those early game fights, he just had the assault rifle and the SMG. Opting to stick with
das belastet. Ein Nahkampf von Punk.
Aua. And punishes it.
And it was such a close call. That Siphon was just the difference maker once that elimination came through. You see now another engagement is between Wolfies and Maestro. Maestro running off this side on the front foot. The pedal is down. Maestro wants to just continue to push down. Shots go through. He's going to break through the wall. Ooh. And Wolfies is going to go down.
Maestro. Okay.
There's a huge pickup there from Maestro Wolfies, who was the second place finisher in the duels of the World Cup, who's seen him play so aggressively, the young player from the UK. But when he's put on the back foot, it can be a little bit challenging there. Maestro brought down the 28 Don't forget, in arena and tournament settings, there is that siphoned enabled. That means when you eliminate an opponent, you will get either 50 HP or 50 shield back, depending on which one you end up needing. It prioritizes health first, and then they will also drop all of their materials, all of their loot, and an additional 150.
Wir alle sind deiner, du nicht, oder nicht, du und der. Wir sind deiner, du nicht, du nicht, du der.
Board here with a Ventex who takes 2 really big shots and is put on the back foot.
He is, but luckily enough for him, Fresh does not have any shield pop. Now, it's not going to be as good as he is going to be finding time to get those minis in that big shield pop. And Intel there needs to find an aggressive push into the box. Ventex is not able to get this medkit off. This does not look well for them, but it seems like the medkit will be popped, so he does get back to fighting HP. 150 HP is enough to withstand some shots. As Precious now on the back foot, that's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to turn that defense that he was waiting on into that offensive moment. And now Precious in a very bad situation. 6 builds remaining. No HP to really work with. He's going to have to hit a really big charge shot there. Dana coming through, not going to connect on these shots. He goes to the box, but Precious hits the shot, and that's another elimination for him.
And you talked about it. He needed to hit that big charge shot, holding it up and punishing the player, and particularly when you see fighting with charge shotguns, it's really difficult to get that finishing blow right away, like Nolan Nebby does there, finding Kira to close out the fight, because you can have. Oh, Nebby! Oh! Don't even forget my point there. Nebby showing the power of the hunting rifle, showing up, catching 2 players on the outside. However, look in the bottom right.
Das eine war ein Quickscope.
Now rotating by. So can Nebby get all of these resources and get out? Engage jump, but those are 2 monstrous shots. He's got to feel confident there, and definitely not living up to his name. Plenty of luck going on.
Nebby's been amazing aim there, just getting what he needed to get started. However, someone who is not having amazing luck is Janice right now. 134 effective HP, and he's
Oh, das gerade ein Area so Trooper.
into the orchard, which does allow these campfires and the apples that drop that give you 5 HP per consume.
So
He's going to
kurz.
be in a good spot. He's able to really farm up. But Janice drops Stevie stacks, and look at his metal count. It was only 97. Coming out of Stevie with only 97 metal is not what he's used to, and this is definitely impacting his gameplay.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough there. Also, tons of players will know where he is, stoking that campfire, putting off the smoke signal. You can see him, those apples dropping, but instead opting to burn the extra wood.
Ein aerial assault trooper.
However, you do see Sven is lurking, trying to catch out the FNCS Invitational winner here.
Aerial assault trooper.
Real quick, that's the problem. Again, we
In meiner Lobby.
Rifle on the side. If you're not ready for it, it can be a game ender right there. You get caught out farming. And honestly, I think that's a little bit on Janice there. You don't want to be on the edge of the zone and caught gaining materials. Like, yes, you did just get in. You can feel safe. You're back up at that 100 health, 100 shield threshold.
Die Tunnel bewegt sich endlich auch mal.
On that side and going to be behind you and Sven is actually going to get harassed there as he tries to rotate out. We're going to hop on over to a three-way fight.
Aber der hält sich einfach mal.
Now already down to just 2 players. Controller getting into the boxes and getting the shots, picking up 2 eliminations back to back. Flecken gonna fall there, and these are what you need to do in solos. You need to get into the box and you need to finish the eliminations quickly, because like we saw, if you come and you fight and you box fight and you build fight, and more people are gonna come and they're gonna realize that, and you are going to fall. So very good play there from Controller.
And so far, it's been the story of the third party. You hear players talk about it all the time, whether it's your friend or your favorite streamer. That third party is the extra player who comes in. So if you're taking a 1v1 and somebody else rotating by says, oh, you guys are preoccupied. First, we saw Nebby picking up the 2 shots there, and then Controller closing it out with that epic tactical shotgun. Going to be on board here with Ovation Orion. We've seen him pull off a number of plays, but again, really good at kind of those ambush-style tactics, as you can see here. Trying to set up a little bit on this player.
Also ich schreie irgendwie den FNCS, das ist irgendwie so ein World Cup-Feeling.
That is the next storm zone revealed, so you can see we're pulling a little bit central. We're just kind of south of the authority, or just over the authority, with a little bit of a southwestern side there. So most of the players will have time, the Slurpy Swamp players will have tons of priority against Storm Surge.
Oh, Storm Surge, komm wieder.
You might not be familiar with if you're watching there. So Storm Surge is actually on in every game, but is only activated when you're above a certain number of players left. That number of players for the third zone is 70, so there's 83 players currently left. 13 will be impacted. What it does is those who haven't done enough damage to the opposing players will then take 25 damage every 10 seconds. So to try and encourage a little bit of active play, which we see here from Orion taking out Queasy, who's going to be queasy about that. Just being game-ended right there. Occurs, not picking up any points in that.
Mahlzeit.
What a smart play. He went in different angles and didn't just crash pad off the top, because he knew Queasy would have been expecting that, and found an angle, got in the box, got the elimination. That also, with Storm Surge, it causes people to make plays like that. Arion may have decided that, you know what, I'm going to go move on. He's put him pretty high up in the Storm Surge, but he didn't want to
Ja, du bist ein Kollege.
at least 100 damage on the threshold. He decided, I got to go in, I got to get in the box, because when Storm Surge starts hitting you, nobody's going to let you shoot them. No one's going to let you even look at them. They're going to be sitting in their box, and wait, and not even open windows, not even make any movement, because they know, hey, that guy's getting hit by a big purple lightning bolt. We can't attack him. Is well, all of a sudden Phoenix is actually going in, but maybe a little bit of a misplay, he gets eliminated.
Gets punished right away, and Tigwe had everything. Right away, and Tigwe had everything you could possibly want for a box fight there. I mean, just look at the loadout, having the epic tactical shotgun, the epic burst AR, crash pads, plenty of shields. So Phoenix would have felt a little pressure to go in and create some space, but Tigwe punishing very succinctly there, as now we swing on board. Milan, Seventor, Kiko, and Anas all directly on top of each other. They become legends. Anas has played incredibly well. Clement also joining in on the party, and this is what we talk about, that Storm Surge. All the players who below, Anas being one of them, are going to be forced to find tags. That damage is going to start coming through. He's going to need to convert on it, and he converts brilliantly there, picking up Supremacy's Clement. It's #1 elimination, and also closing in on that first placement threshold play.
Oh, ist Konfirmka.
It was such a beautiful play by Anas, because he knew Clement had that push,
He said, you know what, he's going to go for the pickaxe. I'm just going to go ahead and edit that wall out so he can get the initial shot. And that got him the elimination. That initial shot there gave him the damage just to follow up with the rare tactical shotgun. It does a lot of damage if you're able to hit all the pellets. And that's exactly what he did. Now, on his way, he got the pepper. Placement threshold just came through as well. And now he's moving in. He's got a very great loadout to secure himself a very good placement here. We know Anas is very, very capable, like we talked about. He's already stalking another player. He's looking to take down AX Controller.
Yeah, and that's Controller 007 from the FNCS Invitational. We saw him have a number of really solid performances. Still need 3 players to go down from that Storm Surge special, but Anas just trying to kind of follow in this rotation path, get as close to center of zone. So if you're kind of new to watching competitive Fortnite, joining for the first time in Party Royale or Twitch or YouTube or Twitter or watch Fortnite.com, what do you care about as you're watching this game as Anas will take it down, or what are you looking for? Mongrel and Thomas HD also picking up eliminations to put us below the Storm Surge. The first thing is whether or not opponents are picking up eliminations. You can see that to the right of the player's name that's right there. And that will represent one point every single time as they go through.
Mongrel, Janus, Lecci.
In this format, the first one occurs after 25 players have gone down. Then the next one occurs after 50 players have gone down. Then it's every 10 and 5 players. So when somebody ends up falling in 41st or 31st or 26th, that's a huge changeover. But now, during the middle part of the game, as everyone's rotating through, what they're looking to do is establish space for themselves, make sure they're safe, and then find tags so they're not threatened by that storm.
Shita, Squeezy has placed on 25 and
here. MCS like Squeezy, who has placed top 25.
Hat in 58% aller seiner Spiele die Top 5 erreicht. Das ist eine hohe Rate.
In the mid game, if he gets caught out, he's able to convert. He's had some of the highest elimination totals throughout the entirety of the FNCS club.
And I was going to say, I'm surprised he's not going into this player's box. That's literally just fishing in front of him. Someone else is behind it, and he's waiting. You can tell he wants to get in this box. As soon as he sees that player start to make moves into the other box, or maybe he finds out exactly where they are, he wants to go in. But he's got Letwick right above him, so you can tell he's being a little bit more cautious. And the qualifiers, he had a little bit of leeway after that great performance that he had. He was able to play a little bit more aggressive and still get top 25, which is insanely impressive.
Thomas
now,
HD.
The biggest impact of the game right now is going to be this hit shockwave launcher in Thomas HD's inventory. He's already got the elimination because of it. He's also already near
Im nächsten Summerschutz werden wieder 13 fallen.
Which is really good for him because he only
Das
has
ist so eine 4.
He only has 94 materials, and he's right by the priority on high zone. This is the 4th zone, which means it's the last safe zone that's completely inside
Die nächste
the
Zone
current
wird
safe
im
zone.
Sturm
After
sein.
that, the 5th one will be the half in, half out, which kind of signals the transition into the end game as Thomas helps end Sebi's game there. He's going to be sent back and have to queue up after that, and Thomas hits him with a favorite emote. Hey, if you got that emote and you're in Party Royale, mimic it right now. Let Thomas know you're with him and sending him the aid, because he has a really good shot to ride this game out with where he's positioned, because after the 4th zone, you don't want to head super central. So all of a sudden, if that half in, half out zone pulls to the south and is on this high ground, and he has all the shockwave launcher plus a launch pad plus the mythic charge shotgun, it's going to be really difficult to force him out of a priority position. He's going to be somebody to watch over the course of this game who's going to impact the other players around him.
And he's already doing that just with his AR. He impacted Sebi. He's going to take down passive. And this is very, very good for him because he doesn't have to go too aggressive to get these eliminations. They're kind of being handed to him here as he's just taking a grasp of his surroundings, looking at every possible angle.
Junge, pack den Schwanz aus dem Mund.
Mr. Savage going to pick an elimination there on the first rotate.
And you can see that action kind of being driven as players are forced to rotate in to start to get priority. It's just about being safe here. It's about establishing yourself for the next game. Half in, half out. It's so important in terms of priority, but right now, Reason is 5 below.
Jetzt macht er einen Abgang.
Once the zone clears, he'll start ticking. You want to keep an eye on the top left of in the bottom right-hand corner. That number will need to drop down to 50
Junge, setz dich
players
hin.
before Storm Surge turns off. And if anybody were
Geh
watching
weg.
is below the
Das ist mein
threshold, they'll
Platz.
start taking that 25 damage every 10 seconds. And Reason just able to get himself above it with a nice tag there, and he's starting to get
Inferno?
aggressive. We talk about the utility of the crash pads. We saw it in the package beforehand in Ball and Child. Talked about how good he can be aggressive on the low ground, and he gets Heatsy there, which is a huge elimination as
Legend
well, because he
Arsenal.
pulled that half in, half out zone we talked about. Everyone who banked on it being up on the high ground saying, hey, if it pulls up here, I can win the game. Well, they will
Okay, Arms hat wieder einen Kill
away
gemacht.
from them, and they'll be the ones who have to rotate as we hit top 50, meaning Storm Surge turns off, second round of placement points goes
Also, wie
through,
geht's
and
uns?
everyone is
23
going to be rotating.
Minuten.
And you saw Savage just waiting with that edit open. He was looking for any possible angle to pick up an elimination. Lois as well. He's kind of fashioned himself a little bit of a base here that's got these pyramids edited in a nice way so we can see down on players rotating. And this is where you want to be. If you do pull half in, half out, you want to be looking for players. You don't want to be exposed because obviously the
Mongrel,
your
nice.
Lois might do here. Some people, Mongrel picks up an elimination as well, so he's still here in this game and still fighting as well as Lois is trying to snipe somebody out of the sky and was not able to hit it, but a valiant effort.
Valiant effort, but just a little wide. Might have given him a haircut, but not going to connect. No Storm Surge tags in play there as we see Kami pick up a huge elim. Flo's trying to get involved here. Finds the first tack shot. Gets the second onto Vadil, who had picked up Savage. So Savage, again, going down early, only picking up an elim and the 2 placement thresholds. 3 points for him there. As we continue through, you can see Flois and Scribs still in. Helix as well. Skype, one of the now veterans, and they call them boomers in the lobby. 3 players in EU are 20 years old, and that is the oldest players who are in the match. But Skype has been around and qualified for nearly every one of these finals. But we're hopping on board here with Quartz Froggy, who had an absurd, just
Savage hat sich
absolutely
seitdem
gross run.
bei jedem Turnier,
Number 2,
war er bei
qualify
jedem
himself, pushed
Mal
himself, I believe it was like, I think it
im
was
Finale
19
gewesen.
or 20 points in the final game to get here, but so far quiet on the day.
Wenn es kein PC-Turnier war.
Loadout as we now transition into those fully moving zones, which means all the safe zones are outside, completely away from the current one, and everyone is going to have to move if they want to avoid that storm damage.
And luckily for him, it seems like it's pulling towards him so he doesn't have to invest those crash pads right away.
Natürlich sagt er immer auf.
Elimination,
Das ist doof.
the
Das
code
redet.
allows him that
Bei mir
opportunity
redet er so
to
dumm.
find these rotations as well. You see just bouncing away through the crash pads, doesn't have to worry about it. A squeeze is going to fall there in the feed. That's an important one to note there because we talked about it, we hyped him up, falling down before that 40th placement threshold as well. He's not going to end on a lot of points. That's just how many points can Froggy end up on? How many points can the rest of the lobby end up on as this game continues to go on? We see Kuriachi, we see Mongrel, we see Letwick there in your screen as well. And Froggy looks to have taken high ground with that. The shots go through. He's going to get that player down in low HP.
Quartz Froggy hat high
What a
ground.
huge pickup there by Froggy, but he's not done yet. There's another player on the other side. So he does disengage, so he does have mats to build around with and to just drop down layers if he wants to. It seems he's content on focusing around high ground.
Yeah, and Benji and Hen also picking up a pair of elims there in
Benji
the feed as we
hat
close in on the next placement threshold. It'll be top 30, and then every 5 players going down. Storm Surge will also turn on top 30. We're closing in on it. There it is. Scouts picking up a pair. Make sure he gets there. That's maybe Diablo we saw yesterday going down. Thomas also goes down, and then Become Legends Rifle picks up Benji Fishy. Deceptive ends up getting Skype as well going down there. Let's pick against Styler, but we're still on board here with Quartz Froggy, and we saw how much work he can do on the mid-ground tarp here, and he's continuing to run through with that charge shotgun. Picks up Scouts as well, and we're in through another placement.
Let you down.
This is what happens as we start getting in the moving circles. All the action for us, so keep an eye. Flois all the way up on the high ground. Kiko has priority on the low ground, and then everyone else is the tarp in between. But Hen and Reason are still up on the mid-tarp.
I think Flois was able to pick up that shockwave launcher from what it looked like. He may have used the crash pad to take it, but Mongrel, I believe, going to fall there on the backside. Rezon.
Warum gibt's keine sich von Mongrel?
Crash pad
Ich will nicht sich von
does have a
Mongrel.
lot of materials left. Carrot picking up 3 eliminations there on the backside. As shots come through onto hit, he is going to be able to block it off. And the capitalization there on the Stacey will be good as he realized already losing HP. Kensel going to take down a player there as well. Anas going to fall. Lois does have it.
Mongrel high ground.
Crash pad maintain high ground, but Bad Sniper coming up. Deceptiv's coming up as well. Everybody is coming up for high ground. Rezon just trying to make it through.
And everyone pushing for the high ground right now, but not necessarily paying attention to what's going down the low ground where people are cleaning up on eliminations. You have Flois in your top right, Froggy in your bottom right, everyone else on the wide. You can see Flois is up on that ultimate high ground. Septos is down on that low ground with Reason. Froggy waiting for his opportunity, but keep an eye on the number of builds because we're getting down to the final one. Flois going to pick up an elimination there, and he's doing a really good job of just maintaining that high ground control as we're closing in on our top 5. One more player will go down, and then it's all about getting to the top 3. Boom, we have it. Letwick, Bad Sniper, Froggy, Hen, and Flois, top 5 in game number 1.
And Flois looking to close out 4 eliminations, but Froggy down below, you cannot count him out yet. He is right
Froggy
there.
ist nicht ganz im High Ground.
From below. That'll be so huge for him because he will get that shockwave launcher, get that mat refresh. Letwick's very, very low. He's going to be edited down. The shots come through, but no, Flois going to be one to take him down. Froggy gets down hid. In the meantime, one Froggy versus Flois. The shockwave launcher up above. Froggy trying to dodge him. Flois sending him down. But he's running out of match. 15 builds remaining, and Froggy does not look like he's stopping anytime soon. Way out in the zone, taking some damage. Going to shockwave himself down. Little Micho classic. Shotgun does come through. The shockwave is going to send him flying. Shots come through. Flois is going to get the beam, and he takes down Froggy for the victory royale.
Really good job from Flois executing the top-down push with the mythic
Fury
weapon. But more importantly, showing the versatility of that shockwave launcher, launching himself, tracking him, and picking it up with the AR. Match number 1 is done. Fury Flois taking home the victory royale, but we'll...
Wirklich GG an ihn.
The elim and the victory royale is going to be that 4-point swing. This is gonna be a good tone setting for the rest of the competition.
We saw it in every region, right? 1 point matters, and that's a 4-point difference for that win and the elim. The coolest thing, though, to me was the versatility for Flois and how he was playing every single engagement differently.
4 Punkte Unterschied schon.
To be able to hold first overall in Europe right now. 6 eliminations, 20 points, and that victory royale.
Yeah, but there's also other people lurking near too.
6
Only the first game, don't forget there's 6. People are starting to 10 in 3rd place right now with 15 points, a sign that he could actually be on that hot streak. Hen, a very hot and cold player. Letwick, though, played significantly well yesterday, and he's there again in towards the top placements, and also with a couple elims to put himself in 4th place, but Kinzel too. And then the rest of this, I think, is kind of maybe a little different than what we might expect in towards the end of the day. You have
wo war ja das? Mongrel und 20.
Have the potential to win for sure, but I don't know if that's quite it yet.
Bad Sniper kann ich.
Yeah, at the top. I mean, obviously, this is such a strong start. 20 points for Flois. Now, he's on the line.
Nach Mongrel.
He needs to take that. Is this the momentum he needs to do this, though?
Yeah, I mean, for all the people over here, that's the same kind of question, right? And if you haven't seen the standings leaderboard before, the eliminations are the total overall over the 6 games playing, as well as the points. And that's a combination of placement and elims these guys have. So let's say got 5 points of placement that game in 22nd place, and 2 eliminations, that's 1 point each. But for these guys, they're kind of sitting at 30th place. They don't have to go for a top 25 anymore. No one has to go for top 50. Everyone here is focused on that win, and they're just slightly behind. Still, though, really hot off the gate.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that people have to figure out on this first game. There are a lot of things and changes to what people might have been expecting. The plan, Zeke, you talked earlier about how these guys are all starting to do their research and whatnot.
Warum werden nur die Top 20 gezeigt?
People start to make decisions and play with the mind a little bit.
Okay, dann bin ich auch mal kurz weg.
Things that you might not be comfortable with.
That drop spot, right? And how that could, I mean, we're talking about 100 of the very best in the world. If I'm going somewhere and my peer is going somewhere that I'm used to playing with and against, that is going to dictate my play and theirs.
I mean, it always starts from the early game, right? Just in general, the entire tournament, from game number 1, your mentality is set in if you do well, if you do bad, and now everyone has different expectations. If you're like Flois, you're at the top spot, you guys mentioned it. Now it's a game of endurance, of holding it and not faltering when things go bad.
And in the grand finals, we have seen tournament after tournament. Being uncontested increases your chances of winning tournaments by tenfold, if not more than that. So being uncontested means you have nobody landing with you. You might be familiar with landing in a hot spot. You don't want to be doing that in grand finals or in set lobbies at all.
Yeah, the opposite of that is contested when someone is there. And Mr. Savage and Noah Riley are side by side at the yacht on the northern side of the map. Two other big names all the way at Slippery Swamp, Kiriachi and then Benji Fishy.
Noah Riley was not supposed to go to the yacht with Mr. Savage. Mr. Savage had thought that he had done enough to force nobody to land with him throughout the heats. But you know what changes now for Benji is that Noah was going to be landing in the same main building. And of course, Noah did not want to do that challenge. One of the best players in the world at off-spawn fighting did not want to challenge Benji whatsoever. He'll leave what success he had throughout the qualifiers to end up going against Mr. Savage?
I mean, now it's going to be even harder, I think, for Noah Riley all the way up at the yacht. For Benji, even freer. But how did that look in game number 1, right? We're talking about these names, and we missed one of the biggest ones from the first game, Flois, who ended up getting the Shockwave loot. Didn't start with it, though. He was at the Orchard.
And a big difference from what we've seen for Flois, because usually it is the Shockwave loot that he's going for in the early game. That's why he got to this spot, but it doesn't matter. He'll grab it anyways, and he's even contested the Orchard. So all I said, Zeke, about being contested, reducing your chances of winning in grand finals kind of shifts when you see what Flois just did, and it doesn't matter where you land. You could always stumble across Kid's Shockwave launcher.
And this is kind of like talking about the quality of the players we're seeing, right? Like, yes, of course, we have mythic items to play around, but for someone like Flois, it's like if he's going to walk up and he's going to take a fight and eliminate you, and that loot's just going to be put in his hands, it's like, okay, I'm already good. I'm already at a 10. You're just giving me that loot and now making me an 11.
Yeah, and also to think about other people who usually have that opportunity to make it through. There was a lot of the big names. I mean, Janice fell off spawn, which you did not expect for him landing at Steamy Stacks with two players who play kind of passively in that. He got sniped. There was also a number of different people who fell in the mid game.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing and the number one word for all these players right now is momentum, right? Flois finding that Shockwave launcher gives them a bunch. Janice getting taken out, as Baller just mentioned, stops the momentum overall, right? So in game number 2, these guys have to find a way to rev their engines faster and then get ahead of everyone else with momentum.
Oh, man, a lot of momentum here to start the day. Now, guys, I do want to continue, but I'm getting word the games are ready. So let's get ready to hop into game number 2 here of the Fortnite Champion Series in Europe. See if the action continues. Sundown, play. Let's send it back your way.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Bala. And I mean, I'm just so excited to see, because I'm a personal fan, or like I'm a advocate for the fact that game 1 is a nice way to set the tone, but you really get an idea of how the leaderboard and how the lobbies are going to play after game 2, because particularly with solos, it's about consistency. Who's able to turn over a performance from one game to the next and continue it rolling, and you're really able to see that going down in the second match.
And into the third as well. If you're able to bounce back in that third and you really
Oh, es geht schon wieder los?
you got a chance in that 4th, 5th, and 6th game to really turn online. Benji, somebody who definitely needs to turn online, but Savage is going to go down with Noah Riley in the feed.
Als ob Savage jetzt schon down ist!
Unfortunately falling. Looks like Benji is trying to take down Kiriachi in the time being.
And Benji trying to set up one of those ambushes here on the side. You can see him trying to pick up Kiriachi as he's going right for those slurp jugs. He is going to find the initial burst shots there, opting not to use that sniper rifle and instead closing the gap on him as fast as possible to see if he's able to get it. White tags coming through, using the tac shotgun and the high rate of fire to push through the box. And well done, Benji. We talked about the contestant over there, and he says, oh, 0 out of 10 for the effort. The Russian judge doesn't even give him a point. Benji taking it down there, and that's 2 elims right off in the start for him there.
Das ist Maxi, oder? Als ob das Maxi ist.
Are rigging salty strings, each with 5+ players right now, so a lot of space being pushed out, and it's interesting to see 5 players in salty. I mean, effectively, you're all taking one house of loot and saying, I hope this is enough.
Yeah, I don't know why 5 players are there. And I think it has to do something with Rezon. He scared everybody away from Holly, Hedges, anybody
Es ist Maxi.
into that path.
Das könnte Maxi sein.
Go try my chance with Salty there. As we are now over to the Fortia.
Das könnte Maxi sein.
He's been dropping here for a while, we know that. But he does not have Ocean's first AR in Ocean Bottomless Chug Jug. Someone else may have snagged it from him, and with his aim and with what he can do with it, that mythic burst AR is so good here from him. It looks like he's not going to need it now, as he's going to get some tags going into this fight. That player going to have to back out. Mongol, though, not going to let him do it. He's got to be careful. He's running out of AR. I got a shotgun and a crash pad. I'm going into the box. He's going to miss the jump a little bit, almost deploying a crash pad there, but the continued pressure that he's keeping up is trying to keep this player from going any higher. And it's Smudge just trying to get away. He's got a little sliver of HP, but Mongo going to get in the box and do that Mongo classic and get the elimination.
Like, he had to resolve that fight right away, because even picking that up with the additional materials, while he is in the zone, since it did pull towards that south side, he's going to need to find it, and with so many other players around this area, it's going to be really hard to max out quickly. But
yes, dieser Hase.
With our match #1 winner, as you can see, the format in the right-hand side, each elimination being worth a point. You can see once you get into that top 10, you'll have 8 placement points going through, all the way up to 14 for first. Then you can see 11 through 15th is 7, 16 through 20th is 6. It's the intervals of 5, then the intervals of 10, and of course, you get that first placement point after the first 25 players have gone down. So still, plenty of players who need to drop here, which generally is a little slower from EU. You'll typically see a little more aggression going on. However, as you get further and further on into tournaments, the stakes and the players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard to confidently take an early fight, as we have Rax and the Costa Rican Sebi in a battle over here.
Ooh, and Rax on the back foot already.
Hauptsache anonym.
Above Caddy, and Sebi going in. The shots are going to go through. He's going to get the initial damage, and he's going to follow up with the AR. The crouch spam, and it's going to pay off for him. The elimination comes through, but now the question posed for Sebi is, can he go get Pit's loot? Can he go get the shockwave launcher and that charged shotgun, or will he settle for some of the vault loot?
And generally, that's the goal. It's to go through, get whatever you can from the weather station, resolve a fight there, and then head down and hopefully pick up the remnants of whatever happened at Caddy Corner. But now we're surrounded with Letwick. We're in match #1, who was able to steal away with this glider grapple gun and just kind of rotate out. But now, match #2, you can see Hardfind over on the side, and Hardfind looking to set up a trap and a bait, and we've seen this before a number of times, particularly around that Volta area, where there are some areas you can't build. Players look to have just an immediate drop, but Letwick is set up really well in terms of his close. That epic SMG, as well as the tactical shotgun and a legendary pistol, means he has 3 really high range weapons that give him plenty of abilities to just spam and pressure Hardfind. He's gonna be in a second, but right now, both players just farming up.
And it seems like they're respecting each other's areas of this authority. They kind of know, hey, he's going to be here. I can tell by how he's looted. Aside, because I know how he looted from Hardfind's perspective, but what's concerning about this is the players that are around. Parrot is there as well. You got 2 other players on the side. Is playing this very well. He's hitting some things and he's standing still. That's how the Henchman act. They walk around, sometimes they'll hit stuff in their way, and then they'll stand still, just moving there. On the other side, we've got Wolfies, who's in a fight against some Marauders.
Ach so, ja, stimmt, das geht ja noch gar schnell schwächen. Oh nee! Wieder Gang!
Try to eliminate you at all costs, and they've got very, very good aim.
Such right.
The Deadeye Marauder. Wolfies is pretty low, but he's got Art at pretty low as well, 150 HP. Now the Marauders are coming in here. The third party this fight. Sometimes the third party does not always have to be an actual player. It can be the AI. This is really good for Wolfies. He's allowing the Marauders to go after this player and go after him for him to get the initial damage. But if he goes in, he's got to be careful. You can't look to go in right away with all these Marauders around. If he doesn't do any damage to him, they're going to be very, very, very hard to build through and walk through. As you see, the builds are going to get built. Coming in down to 11 HP. He's only got 2 builds remaining. Watch red place. He can't build any more. Got a player right there from him. Sniper shot going to come out, and it does.
Oh.
And he goes down to a Marauder.
Oh nee! Einmal!
No builds, no natural cover nearby. Ardit soaks in most of the aggression. If
nee!
go down, Ardit will clean up all
Nee!
that. So good heads up
Das
plays
ist
from Wolfies to
einfach
pick
nur
up the
traurig.
Marauders ultimately enacting their revenge there. And it's so difficult when you get caught out by them,
Das ist
particularly in the
einfach
open
nur
field. How hard
belastend.
those will try and take them out. You're definitely able to
Ein
get rid of
Motor.
some of the more natural cover on the map, those houses, the bridges, and the stuff that are nearby. But Vato not going to be happy about that. Was trying to get a little bit of a third-party tag there, and Wolfie's punishing him right before he goes down. He says, "Hey,
Nach ekelhaft.
also deny a key elimination point that could have gone over to Ardit." So ultimately, he's going to be upset his game is over, but at least he was able to pick up a little bit.
Okay, die Marodeurer sind auch echt fies.
As we can see, he's used to fast starts, placing first with 5 elims in game 1 apiece as well. So let's see if he can turn this confidence into something more.
Was?
He is
Schnellstart?
on the east side of the zone with plenty of players around him. However, he has priority on the rotation, but not a ton of materials to really do it. You don't want to be forced to hard materials, because once they get built up, they provide that much more defense for you. However, just they're so much harder to get naturally as you move through the map. Flo is finding Cammy there, and you can see immediately he's going to head over there because he's like, hey, I need those mats. I need those
Was machen die da?
In the term, this is it, because that's going to be refreshing for him.
What a shot and a heads-up play by Flo.
Was macht ihr da?
Wolf's ammo was pretty low, too. At least 74 AR. That's not enough going into an in-game competitive Fortnite game. You definitely want to have a little bit more like Noah Riley here. Again, takes off Mr. Savage and now has the loot to show for it. They got coming in clutch with this loot. He's got this player down, though, with those tags. But the big shield's going to be popped there. Now Noah has to be careful. He wants to go aggressive. His instinct is to push in with that crash pad and get the aggressive play. But that player back up to full HP. He's got to be careful. Shots go through the edit. Not going to connect on the shots there. Noah over the top. Shots come through.
Junge, was macht ihr da hinten?
And now he's going in. Crash pad in. It doesn't matter, though. The crash pad is actually going to send him away. He's got to keep the pressure up to keep this player from popping any shields, and he's got the player.
Hat nur 2 Kills in dieser
He's got the crash pad. He's going in. Shots are going to come through. The player puts the stare over the top of his head, and another good tag there. Noah's not able to find him. Noah's not able to finish him off. This player continuously layer changing, going up and down in between the builds, and Hydro was just trying to run for their life.
Hydro trying to put as much distance as possible, and unfortunately going to go down there. Good job for Noah Riley on the chase. We talk about how important it is to resolve fights, particularly because you don't want that opponent burning those resources, because when you do take them down, they'll drop them there, and you want to get as much as possible. You can see Noah picking up all of the minis there. He's back up to 6. Good job, still has 4 crash pads. And one thing you'll note in particular when you're looking at these mid-game fights and what you should be keeping an eye on. Anytime a player has crash pads, that will enable them to push into boxes. We've seen it in 2 different ways, both from the top down, where they throw it against one of those cones because it lets them fall in, and then a perfect example, thank you, Ross Orange, for showing it right there, winning the fight against Hardfind very closely with 6 HP. That's the horizontal crash pad, where you line yourself up on the corner of the wall against that corner, and it'll end up landing right behind you, and it pushes you forward into the box, but it won't affect the other player. So it allows you to line up your shot ahead of time, and most of the time you're not able to play defensively, as Orange trying to play defensively here, but Bafo just comes in and says, hey, you didn't have enough time to reset and get your shields up. I will take all that loot. Thank you very much.
And that's the thing of taking a mid-game fight is if you take any damage, you're going to get third party.
What is going on? Check your head.
Shield cracks out, and they're going to move in. But on the other hand, look at Lewick. He took that fight, got out, and now is on the move. But Carrot is setting up an ambush for the shots coming through. Lewick has been cracking. Look at the box separation that he just did there from Carrot. Gonna time him time to pass him, and he's the stare with the top is not his. He does get a nice layer change coming out and above, but he doesn't have enough time to pop the big shield. He's just looking to try to pop another mini, and he does get it off. And now he's looking for a shot. He needs to put the pressure back on to Carrot, because if not, then he's just going to keep running around, and Carrot's finally going to be able to get a shot on him. And Carrot decides, you know what? Not worth my time, not worth my materials, not worth my HP. I'm going to disengage.
I'm 50-50 on that. It felt like if Carrot had kind of kept pressing, he might have been able to pick up Letwick, particularly because look at Letwick, 20 total builds coming out, but that also means if you are able to take him down, you're not going to necessarily get that much back. You'd only get the 35 total, and it's really not going to be that beneficial unless you're able to rotate cleanly off of it. Both have the crash between Diablo and NXS Andy. The Andy on the back foot here, and Diablo trying to push forward. Somebody we've seen playing aggressively. He is above that Storm Surge threshold, so he's trying to hunt this player, doing a good job keeping Andy on the back foot. Does get the cone replaced, owns both, edits back under. The Andy able to so Diablo just going to reset for a second, make sure he's still back up at near that 100-100 threshold, and then going to go down. So good job making sure he picked that one up. Zandy was below that Storm Surge threshold. Diablo.
Erst bekommt der Ticket, danach noch die Platzierungspunkte.
Right now, you can see on the right-hand side, Diablo is currently 130 above. Zandy was below, which means
der eine ist jetzt 2 Punkte mehr weiter.
It also signals to Diablo, hey, I can just tag this guy up and then wait, because any damage he does for to that player, as long as they go down within a minute, he will still get credit for that elimination. He will still get the point, then he can go over.
Ich Respekt, dass sich Leute auch noch für Champions-Dinge interessieren.
That everyone has to think about. At Storm Surge, it plays a factor into so many of these players' games. Sometimes they forget about it because they're pumping, they're rolling, they got their match, they got their ammo, they got their builds, they're in zone, and then they're like, wait, I need to look for tags. Frenzy Fishy on the other side above and a good amount above. If you're about 100 to 150 above, you're looking at a good spot. If shots come through, he's going to take advantage and find swaps with one AR shot. That is what you needed. We saw Thomas H. do that in the first game. Just find any sort of elimination that you can, far away or up close. Don't even have to risk yourself getting tagged up for it. Beautiful elimination.
Yeah, but you notice how he's doing that behind a cone and editing a single wall. That's to avoid all of those hunting rifle headshots that we've seen come out time and time again. You don't want to get a game end there. You're looking for some of those tags to make sure you're safe. But that being said, when we talk about tags and going, that's generally meaning you're looking for long-range shots, not with the intention of actually trying to eliminate the opponent, but just doing some damage so you're not threatened by the Storm Surge. As Flowis Froggy and puts a prime example of why you
das war ein Quick Scope.
And to limit the number of angles you have, because so many of these top-level players will be carrying those weapons.
Hat ihn einfach einen
Headshot for the snipes and hitting their shots. Well done from the game number 1 winner, who's continuing to roll with the momentum here. Boxed up next to Arctic, passing over the side as we're transitioning now into that mid-game kind of territory as players are starting to get closer and looking for priority in terms of zone number 4.
What an elimination. He needed it too. He only had 2 hunting rifle shots. That first shot needed to hit. He didn't really have a chance to follow up if it didn't. Very heads up play by Flowis. First place, taking down second place. That is, hey, that's pretty good for your mentality. Even if he goes down here, be like, hey, I took out my competition, so I know. Can't really do much.
And it's important to note when they stress during the topic how every single interaction matters. Right there, Flowis eliminating his direct competition right now, the player who is closest to him, who's able to pressure up. That means if he's able to build up a lead now, it's going to be that much more substantial, because effectively he's eliminated one of the players who can threaten him the most. As now we're on board here with ADN. We saw him have an amazing run yesterday, pushing in. Right there, you can see the Dorito edit being taken down, and that's such a good push. Fastroki was looking to set up a crash pad there with that edited cone in his box, but ADN dropped in and then occupied the space, stuck to the AR, and then just used the weapon to close it out. Well done getting a key pick there in a mid-circle.
And he desperately needed his match for not looking good. Still are not looking good as well, so he's gonna have to find another impact elimination along the way. And Front with Ardent, again, stats are not looking good. Now there is a player's loot there in front of him that he more likely got the Evelyn from. He's not actually prioritizing picking it up right now. It seems like he's just looking to build and then go for nearby as well. Ardent's in an awkward spot. We've got Scram in this game here as well. Handy passive slick. A lot of players still alive. 61. We talked about storm surge. This is the threshold where it's 50. 11 players need to go down. Harden makes a heads up play to get a box. The crash pad's going to come through, but that's bad for him. Unless he hits the shots come through, and he does. Maestro going to go down the aggressive play, not going to be rewarded. Harden will be rewarded for his passiveness.
Yeah, and you can see the reason why so many players are fighting that storm surge and trying to get priority. We talk about fourth zone. Look in the bottom right-hand corner. Everyone is looking to box up and stake their claim on as much real estate as possible for when that half in, half out reveals. You don't want to be sharing a spot next to somebody as you go to rotate, and they're looking to clear out the players nearby as Ardent picks up Flois there. So 1 and 2 are down. That's going to open up the leaderboard. Tons of players will have an opportunity to charge up. Eyes are now on Hen and whether or not he can kind of extend his lead out there as Ardent also picks up Lechi. Mongrel getting scout there in a brilliant job because he's now cleared out all the players on this tarp in that next, the half in, half out, the one before moving, is pulling directly over to this cluster of players. So Tayson, Benji, Keelix, Wyzit, Mr. X will all be over there sharing the half in, half out with Ardent. They all have priority on everyone else who's rotating into the zone. So they're going to be fighting among themselves to make sure they're safe and not going to get ambushed, and then swap over to what Tayson's doing now and looking to catch the players, burning their rotation, burning launch pads and crash pads, trying to get into this zone.
And this is very lucky for Tayson because, again, express the amount of builds in the inventory. He only had 54. That is not where you want to be for this in-game. So he has to find an elimination to get to this moving zones effectively. He does have the 6 crash pads, but when you start to use those crash pads, those box up, and he needs to find somebody. As shots come through, he's not going to be able to beam people out of the air just yet. But unfortunately falling, but he did get that top 15 playing threshold. This is what a lot of people are playing that can say, hey, at least I went down inside of that. Tayson, however, is looking to get aggressive, and I believe that's on, I think this is Benji. I'm 97% sure Benji is right near. He goes into a box and Tayson is going to go aggressive. The big is going to be popped, and it's going to come through. No crash pad in, shots coming through, and Benji's going to go down. Tayson's going to take him down.
You called it. He was looking for it, waiting for Benji. Heard him trying to set up and get some space. Knew he was pressured around the side. The horizontal crash pad entrance puts him behind Benji. Cleans it up with the tactical shock.
Geräte stummschalten.
To become Legends player. He's been playing so well recently, cleaning up the cash cup on his birthday. Had a phenomenal performance yesterday to also guarantee him spot here, and he has priority on this next zone. What that means is he's the closest to where the safe zone has to go past. So as it funnels and everyone else rotates, they have to go past Hen. You do not get to past Hen, and you notice he's built so much space around him so he can't be shot at in return. All of these shots are completely safe, so anything he's able to convert on will turn into points for him here, as another placement point does take over. Now he's not shooting through that wall. That is just one of the graphical issues with the replay. He's picking up tags, but now you can see setting up a crash pad, going to use it to go on the rotation late, and he picked up a key elimination onto Wyzit there as we have our top 35.
And it's such a key elimination because he gets Jules' glider gun, and now he's got free rotation everywhere. He could win this game based off that elimination. It was such an impact elimination, but he's being a little bit too greedy on that zone. He did get tagged up, but he's still good. Rotation coming in. We do.
Giving us back to business.
A lot of the big names are out of this game, but Hand looking to keep his stream alive and take down one player who landed right on top of him. That was a very, very heads-up elimination onto Pablo, but he's not that healthy. He has those minis in his inventory, about 126 effective HP. He needs to find another one.
He needs to find the outside. He can't be in this cluster. It's really weird to take the grapple gun and then immediately go into the middle because you don't really have the ability to utilize it. And that's what we're looking for, getting towards the outside of the zone. He has more options there. Enough. Up on the high ground there.
Ich hab mein Erzfeind gefunden.
You have Gamers Origin Deceptos there on the middle as we tick over top 25. Another point going through. Enough running through the high ground. Reason still in the match, and you can see Deceptos picks up Ardent there as top 20 ticks over. Another point.
Mongrel schon wieder da, Digga.
Reason ends up going down. This is looking like a Become Legends top 15 right now, as they have 3 or 4 players still up, but Deceptos trying to find the space, finding a good job, making sure that he owns all of the builds on this level as we close in on top 15. Bad Sniper missing out on a key placement point, and Deceptos looking to try and find a pick on this Crash Pad player, doing a good job to deny the rotation, finds a tag, but not able to necessarily convert it. So many shots, but no elimination coming through, and he has to find that. That's such a key pickup. Inside the top 15 we go. Can he chase down this player? And he finally gets it. That snipe going down, but Hen is still up, picking up Orion as we get into our top 10.
Deceptos is going to have to make a play as it's going up a little bit of an incline. You see it. The old builds are there as well. Hen is going to fall. Slick going to fall in tandem. Top 10 placement points being missed out by both of them, and that's a huge boost as well. Deceptos able to hold on to the player on the other side. Shots are coming through. He's getting the tags, and he does. Frenzy Machine is going to go down. Deceptos needs to get out of zone, though. He is sitting and ticking. He doesn't have any floppers. He's looking to get in, and he does, but a shot comes through. Loki going to be the one to take him down, and now 2 eliminations here for Loki. He's got to be careful. Shots go through. Back in the zone goes Loki. Ticking down very, very low. Now inside the zone, he's good to go. He's looking really, really rough. He doesn't have floppers. Mr. X is going to go down. Stacy going to be the one to do it.
Concept surprise.
Look at a Nos just Tyro whopping all the way up top.
What? Da oben ist noch einer! Ananas!
He's got left, but he may be able to win this.
Was macht Ananas da oben?
And the old build's giving him priority there. Moving zone, we talked about it. It just randomly pulls a distance back away, which means you can continue your rotation. And on top of having the old build, his saving grace has the mythic loadout as well. It's so big for him as we move into the 4 players left. But Anas has complete control over this lobby.
4 Spieler.
As well, the Ramguard and Snazy are going to round out your top 4. Who will finish it off? Will Anas continue the run of the caddy corner?
Braucht die Mets. Braucht die Mets. Tyson. Sein Match. Anas.
So each elimination, each placement here, an additional point as Tyson and Snazy right there. But the shotgun launcher comes out right away and knocks him over to the zone. And Anas does get tagged, but he's able to pop the
Anas gewinnt.
And then gets the follow-up tag with 6 HP.
GG geht dieses Mal an Anas.
High ground, 4 eliminations in the victory royale, taking game number 2.
The flop was what he needed to pop, and he did do just that. The victory royale is going to be nice. I think maybe able to move into first place after that game just on the number of
Was haben die da gebaut?
But we're definitely going to need the analysts to break that one down, so we're going to send it right over to them here in a moment.
Thank you guys so much. Great cast here in game number 2 of Europe. Anas finally big.
All the way up top, victory royale, 7 elims, 28 points. But what happened that game was a bunch of eliminations from top players, changing the standings from 2nd all the way to 10th.
And there's BL Hen in 2nd there. Somebody definitely to keep an eye on because he placed 4th in the first game. At least in this game.
And there, move on over Letwick.
Mongrel ist besser geworden.
Mongrel, Carrot. I mean, look at all these names. Thomas HD, Floki, Frenzy Fishy. There's so much heat coming off of the grand finals right now. Every single person could walk away the victor, and especially when we're this tight, and we still have 4 games left to go, boys. Anything can still happen.
4 Games, also sind es 6 Spiele. Okay. Da habe ich was endlich mal was kapiert in meinem Leben.
Benji, who was used to sitting in the top at 24th, and from what I'm seeing, he's having good games still. It's not enough, though, for that number 1 spot.
No! Scheiße, das kann aber nur mir passieren. So eine Scheiße. Ja, ja, ja.
Yeah, Grand Finals is all about power, and it comes in many different forms. We're starting off with how power struggles on early games on site. A big battle down, Noah showed that he was more powerful.
And it's all because Benji scares Noah into going somewhere else.
Say what?
He might end up struggling because of it. Benji, though, saw a sign of weakness, and because of that, he will pounce, try to grab more space. Kiriachi looking in the background, and Benji knows, and he will hunt. This is one of the best players at fighting in the early and mid game, and Benji is not scared whatsoever.
Meine Benji ist ja ein Jungspurt.
Swamp and Benji gets in the box with style, breaks through. It's a big shot.
Soll ich ihn?
Shows his power afterwards as well.
And is that show of power? Is that show of confidence?
Oh, sein Anfang war der Null.
I say yes, but it might be overconfidence as he pushes a fight against one of the best players in the world. Now we're switching over to Flois, and for him, it's a shift.
Oh nein, war nicht der im Dings gestimmt?
Continues to dropping down Froggy, who was in second place on the leaderboard at the time, but holding power sometimes comes with a cost. He loses it over to Advise, and we see one of our new players who are in that second place slot.
Second place for Hen after a very good game number 1, and follows it up with a pretty decent game number 2. A 10th place for him, but a couple of elims to boot, and that will put him where he needs to be if he wants to grab that.
Warum benutze ich den Skin? Den spiele ich so gut wie gar nicht. Die Frage ist, welchen Skin benutze ich denn überhaupt? Niemand mag Ghost. Niemand mag normal. Shell ist auch aggressiver. Die Diva. Okay, jetzt bin ich selber für den Witz schuldig.
End of the day, if you want to solidify yourselves among the great, immortalize yourself, you need to have games like that. And Nas and Hen, both at the top of the leaderboards, org mates, and they're standing strong.
Both of these guys are definitely looking to break away. I mean, Anas is ahead of the game, 28 points, but Shy, is that going to hold?
Didn't hold in game number 1 with Flois. I feel like when Anas gets that top slot, he holds it completely, especially at caddy corner. So I feel like, yes, that's my call.
I like it. Quick and concise. With that being said, guys,
Meow.
game number 3 here in EU of the FNCS Grand Finals. Casters, we're sending it back your way to get into the action.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shai, Bala. Insightful as always. Everyone is looking to become a
Game Nummer 3 startet, meine Freunde.
First and second, and if you're just joining us, welcome. My name is Sundown, joined here by the fantastic, as always,
Mit unser heutiger Moderator ist Sundown, ihr Bitches.
If you're watching at Party Royale and you just dropped in, hit one of those telephone booths with changing stations. Make sure you get your favorite outfit on, then head on over to the main stage, catch the action out. You can see where everyone's dropping right now.
And if you notice, the yacht only has one player on it, so I'm interested to see who that player is. Is it Savage? Is it Noah Riley, who came out on top? And of course, who's going to come out of
Imagine wird ich werde langweilig. Razorfish? Gleich bald doch noch die Party bei und den Stream. Moin Meister!
Hm.
Wie geht's denn euch?
Gut.
Wo ist denn Lelek?
Nicht im Fortnite, ich auch nicht.
Was spielt ihr denn? Hyperscape oder was?
Ich habe die letzten Tage ein Horrorspiel gespielt und Fall Guys ist ein neues Spiel. Alec ist rausgeflogen, der Alec.
Typisch Lelek. Ich stream gerade die FNCS gerade.
Bambusleitung, wer kennt's anders?
Auf 720p.
Ich meine Alec.
Ja stimmt, der Lelek hat wirklich eine Bambusleitung.
Er ist der Bambusrohr genommen und dann Strom angekabelt.
Ja, Alec knabbert doch hier an seinem Stromkabel. Oder?
Der ist nicht mehr online gestellt. Muss Darf man unten zu den Offline-Leuten hingehen und den einladen?
Nö, ich bin dafür zu faul.
Zuletzt online vor einer Minute, will er mich ficken?
Das ist doch echt so. Und hier Party Royale ist gar nichts los. Die Spiele werden langweilig, obwohl sie spannend sind. Meine Siegerschaft, meine 3 Favoriten schaffen es sicher nicht mal in die Top 20. Okay, beziehungsweise einer hat. Ich hab mich kurz verschluckt.
Morgen wieder Schule, auch noch.
Morgen habe ich schulfrei, ihr Bitches.
Hast du morgen schulfrei?
Ja.
Oh, lecker. Oh,
Ja, bei uns werden halt pro Schuljahr halt die neuen Schüler auch eingeordnet.
Ja.
Aber danach habe ich direkt 8 Stunden.
Ja, das geht. Warum?
Hat er ist er aufgegangen oder was?
Ja. Ey. Ja, können wir die Man join noch?
Was denn? Natürlich ist dieser Keck mal wieder offline gegangen. Moin. Oh, ich habe ihn bei mir irgendwie noch stumm. Hi. Egal, ich mach's jetzt selber. Ich weiß, dass du es nicht magst. Wie wär's nochmal mit Loba?
Not as much HP there as Diablo. His shots are still coming through. He does pop a midi. Continue back and forth over these peanut butter areas. That's that triangle edit that you see.
Ach komm, welches Spiel sollen wir gehen? Ich hab das Ding nicht. Du weißt doch, kein PlayStation Plus. Ich hab deinen Account nicht. Und ich stream gerade. Cool, ich habe mir gerade das FNCS-Finale hier in Party Royale an. Was? Eine Frage, wie funktioniert denn eigentlich kennt ihr Takeshis Castle?
Ja. Der, nicht Kayeshi, Kateshi. Digga. Kayeshi.
Hab ich auch gesagt. Oh, ey, scheiß auf das FNCS-Finale, es wird eh langweilig. Ciao. Den wird langweilig.